Jerry Mallory here, SBNationPrideDetroit.com, the Lions, and what some would call an early must-win game. Go to Minnesota and they fall short. We can look at the stats, and we can talk about Adrian Peterson, and we will in just a second. The bottom line is this. At the outset, when we look at the last 8 games of the year, to me, there were 3 must-win games. Okay, the schedule is going to be brutal, and this was one of them, and they don't get the job done. Their road to make the playoffs now has just become so much harder. It's not impossible. It's not over. We're not talking about the draft yet. There's games to be played. Just ask the New York Giants, who were 7-7 just last year, and many people thought they were done, and the rest is history. However, looking at this game, I mean, what are you going to say? Mr. Crazy Eyes himself, Adrian Peterson, he went crazy all day. Is his nickname, and he didn't run good all day. We bottled him up for quite some time, but just like your typical caged beast, once you open up that gate just a little bit, they're going to seep through and wreak havoc, and he did just that. And that's really the main reason why we lost. To me, also not able to bring Chris Ponder down. This defensive line, you know, they're supposed to be highly touted. Some people have said they're overrated. I'm trying to figure out what they are. They got a lot of quarterback hurries. They got some hits. When it came to taking the quarterback down, they only got 1 sack. I think that's what you look at in terms of the defense. Now on offense, once again, they went with their normal routine, waiting until the 3rd and 4th quarter to score points. Not good. You know, we're the number 1 passing offense in the NFL, as far as ranking one of the best offenses in the league. I'm not buying it. Numbers sometimes do lie. It's not how much you score or how many yards you get. Sometimes it's when you get it, when it's timely. You know, we rack up a lot of yards sometimes because we're down. Defenses change their schemes. You know, we get a lot of yards, and that's where the offenses are ranked. But what about all the turnovers we've had in the red zone? I'm not buying this. We are not the best passing offense in the NFL. We're not the 4th, 3rd best offense in the NFL. Consistency is a must. Now, scoring late is big, and I appreciate that. We all do, you know, comeback cats. But, you know, the first 2 quarters, just all these 3 and outs is ridiculous. Now, Scott Linehan, a big bone I had to pick with him. We've given him credit. We've berated him. You know, he's like a roller coaster of opinion on him. It's him and the team as a whole. Sometimes to me it's just too conservative. You have the ball. It's a little less than a minute, about 50 seconds left in the 2nd quarter. They run one play, it doesn't work. Then they hide their lion's tails between their legs and they run to the locker room because 3 points in 2 quarters seems to be enough for them. Throw the ball down the field. You've got an arm like Matthew Stafford, and you've got the best receiver in the game in Calvin Johnson. You throw that ball 50 yards down the field, you probably have 4 things that could happen. An incomplete or an interception. We don't want those. And then you have another 2 possibilities. And the odds are better with Calvin and Stafford, in my opinion, than anyone else. A completion or a pass interference. You know, really 3 of those options are acceptable. Even the incomplete is not the worst thing in the world. Throw it down there twice and see what happens. If it is an interception, that deep down the field, maybe you do get the tackle. Them returning it is not a guarantee. But no, you know, we're stagnant. We don't do any trick plays. I'm not saying we have to get goofy, but the occasional, you know, trick play, the occasional brave play, being bold, no, we're super conservative, and it's just not proving to be that good. There were 3 must-win games to me in the second half of the season. This was one, along with the Colts and then the Cardinals. We know who we have to face. I haven't looked at all the schedules, but I'd be hard-pressed to find a team with a tougher schedule down the road than the Lions. You've got Green Bay twice. You've got Chicago. You've got Atlanta. You've got Houston. I just named the murderer's row of teams. You know, you go to any football ranking, and those teams may very well be in the top 5. Just them by themselves. They're all in the top 10. We have to face them. This is why we should have beat Minnesota, but we didn't. And so our road to the playoffs now, oh, it's so much harder. It's so much harder. But it's not over. The offense, although stagnant, eventually shone through. Stafford had a pretty good game. Calvin had a good game. Sue with a lot of pressure, which is good. I want to see him bring the quarterback down a few more times. That's it, guys. Give us your opinion of this game. We're going to be back in a couple of days. We're going to rewind the clock back. Just seeing Calvin Johnson be as dominant as he was, seeing Adrian Peterson being as great as he was, it made me think of this concept, rewinding the clock. If you could do it all over again, who would you draft, Calvin or Peterson? I mean, these two guys are probably headed to Canton once they retire. And so we'll look at some numbers and extrapolate that in a couple of days. But we're going to digest this loss now, today and the day after that. Leave your comments, thoughts about the game, and what do you think our playoff chances are. Don't forget to subscribe. If I sound upset, it's because I am. I'm upset with this team, and I'm disappointed. At this point, we're 4-5. So many games you look at and you say, with the talent on this team, we should be 6-3, 7-2, at least 5-4. But no, we're 4-5, and we're on the outside looking in the playoffs at this point. All right, guys, until a couple of days where we give you that Calvin versus Adrian Peterson, rewind the clock, back to the future, whatever you want to call it, segment. Until then, this has been Jerry Mallory, thanking each and every one of you for watching. And as always, we are brought to you by SB Nation and PrivateTrade.com.